we had a funny exchange last week.
Oh, what was the exchange?
Well, so I always post the thing like, hey, tune in this week, whatever. And I always post like a watch and the microphone and everything. And so last week I was wearing the pink watch. I don't know if you guys know the lore of it. Basically, I'm a big watch guy. I love Omegas. I love Speedmasters. That's like the most classic, beautiful watch to me. And then Omega and Swatch, the shitty brand Swatch. I don't really think they're shitty. They're kind of nice for what they are. They did a collaboration. So basically you get it looks exactly the same as an $8,000 Speedmaster, but it's $250. But the catch is you can only get it at the Swatch store in Las Vegas and like the big hubs around town. You can't just buy it anywhere. And if you get it on the secondary market, it's very expensive. So one time I went there and that's all they had was the pink one. That was the only one they had. I was prepared to buy out the whole collection. And that's not where they get you. Well, it's not them, but they give you some shitty strap. It's like a horrible Velcro, ugly strap. So then you have to go online and you buy another strap. So basically the straps, that's where they kill you. $500 for the strap. It's double the price of the watch. So now I'm $750 in this thing for plastic quartz watch, like plastic. It's a Swatch. But I get done and then we walk into your house and your son, Enzo, is wearing pink shorts. You approved of this?
Yeah. It's 2025.
Well, like, dude, I just a believer of just like random shit happening. The one day that I'm not wearing one of my nice watches, I wear the pink watch randomly. And your son's wearing pink shorts. I was like, dude, I have to give him this watch. There's no way to go about it other than this. So I don't know if you knew, I texted your young child this morning. First exchange I've ever had with a young person ever. And I said, sup, bro. Sup. Heard you've been looking at watches. I have. Any you like? How old is your son?
He just turned 14.
Okay, he's a 14-year-old. This is his response. I said, any you like, question mark? And I'm expecting somewhere in the same ballpark of what we're looking at. He said, some Omegas and some Rolexes. This is your 14-year-old son who's never had a watch before and just responded to me, some Omegas and some Rolexes.
Sounds about right.
That's insane.
Hey, but the homie has been hustling. They've been making, I think I told you, about $100 a day at school selling candy, snacks, sodas. So they go every day. So every night they come home and they have their electric scooters. They ride to Walmart and the dollar store and they re-up. They all know them there now. So they're like, actually the other day they go to the dollar store so much that they were looking for something and they hadn't restocked the shelves yet. And the guy comes out, he's like, hey, what are you looking for? And he's like, oh, the Girl Scout cookies. He's like, I got you. Let me go in the back. Comes in, brings him all of his stuff that he needs. So kids, every day they both sell. They keep like $25 or $30 that they pull out of this as our restock money. Then everything else, they split 50-50. They're making about $75 to $100 a day at candy selling at school.
It's very impressive. He's a hustler.
They're hustling.
If he wants to buy my Rolex, there's a Rolex I want to get rid of. It's a two-tone. It goes on the market now for $7,500, $8,000. I guess depending on where you look, $7,200.
He'll give you $350.
I'll give it to him for $5K. If he wants it, it'd be a beautiful Rolex, $5K. He keep hustling.
Done.
All right. So we got Seattle this week.
We have Seattle this week. I have Seattle this week, but only half of Seattle.
Yeah, you had 2 fights. Now we're down to 1.
We are. Henry is fighting. I'm with him again. We were actually talking about it the other day. We were sitting there and he goes, like me, Eddie, and him. He's like, just camp was pretty much done. He's like, man, thank you guys for everything. He goes, I know we've had our ups and our downs and our ins and our outs as coach and student. He's
we've laughed, we've cried.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we like to have fun here.
Yeah, but ultimately, we like to have fun here. And we're back. The band is back together. So
is this one last ride or this is many rides to come?
I think he wants to, he wins this fight. I think he wants to do a couple things. And honestly, it's the best he's looked in years because it's the hardest he's ever worked in years. We were just talking about having the chip on your shoulder. He's got a chip on his shoulder and he's working his ass off.
I just think he hates Chinese people, honestly.
No, yeah, that's why he's bringing Haley.
I think this is racist fueled.
He's bringing Haley because he just likes to beat on him. Whatever Chinese people he can beat on, he beats on. No, but he really does look good. It's been a fun camp. Most Henry camps are very stressful. This has not been at all, and it's been very enjoyable. Yeah, but then we had Adam Fuga as well, who hurt his rib. Man, and he was trying to see if it would get better. And it wasn't. He was trying to fight. And I was like, dude, you're not fighting. I'm like, you can't do anything. As a human, he's fine. He's walking around and skipping and jumping and this and that. You touch him and he's like, ah.
Oh, I just came off a rib injury. It was the worst thing in the world.
So that was kind of my pull. Like I was really, him and all of the other coaches, everybody was really trying to like, let's see if we can. And I was hard on the situation. I just, no, we're done here. We're not talking about it. Your rib is hurt. And it was the right call. It's the right call. I do feel that.
Have you been to Seattle before?
I've been to every freaking city on the planet, and I've never been to Seattle. I've never been, actually, the only 2 states, I think, pretty much. I mean, I haven't been to Alaska, but I've been pretty much everywhere. And I have not been to Oregon, and I have not been to Washington State.
I went in the summertime, and it was the time of my life. You know, it's like sometimes you take a trip and you want to try to recreate that trip as best you can, but you'll never encapsulate that time period, that place, that feeling ever again, right? You'll go to Seattle a second time, it'll be different. So when I went in the summertime in a fresh relationship, whatever. And I guess Mount Rainier, you can't really see it from Seattle most of the year. Yeah, it's so cloudy and rainy that you can't see it. And when I went, they said, yeah, there's only like a month period where you can actually see the mountain. And they said, even then, there's some days you really can't. So I showed up, we went on the Space Needle. It was gorgeous. And Mount Rainier was right there. Nice. It was beautiful. Weather was incredible. I do want to shout out Eddie. My friend Eddie took us around and got to show us everything. Super nice. He used to listen to the show and be a part of the podcast. So it was super fun. It was an amazing city. What was really unique to me is like you can go out on the, what is it? The ocean? I don't know. Lake, whatever. I don't know. A body of water. But you see each sports arena is right there and is going batshit crazy. I think when I went, there was a Metallica concert and they said that you can actually feel the vibrations from the stadium throughout the rest of the city when something crazy goes.
Really?
They said when Taylor Swift came, that was it was like an earthquake. Like that's how loud and how much it was shaking. It was like the loudest that's ever been generated by a concert ever.
Do you guys get that? Do you guys get the Taylor Swift appeal?
What you mean? In what sense? You're trying to smash her? You're trying to listen to her music?
I'm trying to say the
She's
massive,
a great artist,
wild
dude.
Fan base, like billionaire, like she goes and does these tours and dude, like earthquakes are happening. That kind of fan base.
I mean, man, she makes good music.
Yeah, I mean, anybody like Beyonce was the same thing. Michael Jackson was the same thing.
Jay-Z, same thing.
Yeah, but I think you're putting
Dylan Budka, the same thing.
Oh shit, that fight was crazy.
But you're gonna put Taylor Swift in the same category as like a Michael Jackson,
dude. At this point, she really
is.
Zeitgeist,
yeah. I mean, it's all a moment of the time, and as the time, like she is as big now or was during that tour as Michael Jackson was at some of his tours.
Well, she has the highest selling tour of all time.
Yeah, so it's like,
see, I guess that's what I don't understand. That's why I don't.
But dude, it's not for you. It's not for brown guys with tattoos on their fucking neck.
Yeah, like.
No, but there are some dudes who are like, oh, yeah, no, I get it. Like, Taylor Swift is awesome. Even though, like, it might not be their cup of tea, they can understand. I don't understand with Taylor Swift, what makes her so much better than, like, I don't know, dude.
Say Tori Kelly. I know that's what you want to say.
Or Tori Kelly.
I know that's what you want to say. I can see it on your face.
Who's to say, like, what? I mean, like, any of these people, like Lady Gaga, or it's like, well, I mean, it's all right. She was huge for a while. And just because everyone's not everyone's cup of tea, like, you get, like, I don't get a lot of this stuff, but people sell Lady Gaga out. People are selling.
Bro, I went to the what's the girl's name? Janae Aiko. Yeah. You're familiar, dude. I cannot get down with that. I was at that concert looking around like, dude, if there was ever a terrorist attack, it should be right here, right now. Get rid of all these, and life is gonna be a lot better. A lot better. Weirdos with the incense and the shit. No bras. There was not a bra in the entire arena. Just weird shit.
Dude, I guess what I'm saying is I can understand her having a fan base, but like the biggest fan base in the world right now, that's what I'm trying to wrap my mind around. I don't see that. All right, let's get into it. It's going to be a short card, only 11 fights. It's been a cursed card. Like 6 fights have fallen through. The first fight of the night, we have Modestas Bukauskas -310 versus Rafael Cerquira +260.
I'm going to go on this because I think we got a bad shake on his, who is it? Cerquira on Rafael on the last fight. And I remember actually when he was fighting his debut, we were saying we don't have a lot of film on him, but he stays really calm. He doesn't do a lot. He kind of shells up, but when he does do stuff, he's good. His, kind of level of competition has been shit.
Really bad. And he's old.
But when he did stuff, it looked good. And then you have Bukauskas, who has kind of always been an I don't know, like he just kind of shits the bed all the time. And he doesn't do a lot. But now in this fight, with the tape that we've seen, you've got to assume that Bukauskas, by just doing stuff, wins this. I wouldn't bet the house just because Bukauskas has been kind of hit and miss sometimes. And we haven't seen enough about this Rafael guy to really know. But I mean, Bukauskas sometimes just staring and looking and not doing stuff. In his last fight, he did stuff and he threw.
He also got hurt a lot.
And he did get hurt a lot. But just by moving and doing stuff, and I mean, Prachnio was hurting you. But
that's crazy.
Yeah. But he did end up getting the, late, was it third round submission, something like that? Second round, late second, late third submission. I think the volume is going to be on Bukauskas' side. The only thing is that the one thing Rafael does is he shells up and he stays calm. And if you let somebody who's not a really powerful guy swinging hard, and you're just like eating the shots, and then you swing something big against somebody who's known to get hurt, it wouldn't surprise me to see him get wrecked and beat up and hurt a little bit. That said, I think Bukauskas wins this. But again, you have two guys that there's so many unknowns. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with you. Maybe the odds are wide on this fight just because we don't really have film. I guess in my head, I would probably line this maybe Modestas like minus 180, just because we don't really know what the other guy's about. He is old. He's 33. I'm sorry, he's like 34, 35, somewhere in there. I can't imagine the UFC is like, man, look at this young, hot prospect who's 34 years old. Let's bring him in. And that last fight was really bizarre. I mean, it was just a weird fight.
He didn't do anything. I don't know if he threw a single strike.
No.
He just shelled up and took the dive and went home and cashed the check.
Yeah, and so I guess I don't know what's going to happen in this fight. Modestas is always live to be bonked all the time. He gets hurt with the wind blowing.
Yep.
He's a bit of an idiot sometimes, but he's got some skills and he's probably going to have a lot more volume. That other guy seems to bully a lot of guys that are just not even athletically on his level.
Yeah.
So now he's going to have a real person in front of him. I think Modestas is going to win just by volume, maybe even a finish, but I think he wins.
Okay.
Cool. Next up, we have Nick Klein plus 600 versus Mansur Abdul-Malik minus 900.
Do we want to spend a lot of time on this one?
No, but we'll spend a little time.
Nah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, what new angle, crazy angle, are you going to come with for this?
No, there's nothing. Well, actually, there is something. Mansur has been so dominant in all of his fights that he just completely beats people up. I'm curious to see if Klein, who's not a great anythinger, but if he just won't piss off, if he can hang in there a little bit, if we start to see something. I don't think we will, because I don't think Klein's wrestling is going to be good enough to stave off Mansur if Mansur wants to shoot. And then Mansur's a good clean striker as well. So
yeah, I am kind of interested because when he fought Wes Schultz on the Contender Series, I've been trying to tell you guys about Wes Schultz. He is not good, and we try not to shit on anybody on the show. Like, really try not to. But he's not. To me, he's not a good MMA fighter. But he is one of those weird, grimy, grindy, I'm going to find my way to the top.
Yep.
And a couple of times we saw him reverse Mansur. To me, he had a better chance of that than Nick Klein, because Nick Klein, the thing about him is he isn't, I guess Wes had a ton of accolades in wrestling. He was like a national champion in D2 or something like that. So he had the accolades. I've never seen it translate to MMA, but at least he kind of moves and has a jiu-jitsu look. Nick is so like just robotic, comes from a mile away, big lunging takedowns. Mansur is just like, he's gonna kill him. I'm pretty like, we might actually have to check
first round.
Yeah, first or second. Yeah, it's coming.
Mansur KO.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's gonna hurt him.
All right. Next, we have Ricky Simone plus 250 versus Javid Basharat minus 300.
This one I'm actually like.
I'm glad you said that, because I imagine, I haven't listened to any other shows. I imagine there's a couple fights on this card where everyone is so heavy on one side. And I'm thinking to myself, like, man, this kind of seems like a close fight.
It could be a close fight. And the issue that one, I think it's lined way too wide, because Javid is not Farid. They might look the same, but they're not.
But for a long time, Javid was looked at as the better one. I think you and I were the only two that said Farid is better. Everyone else thought Javid was better.
Oh, okay. See, everyone else is retarded, because Farid's the better one. And like, the issue is that Farid would,
get your E's right.
I can't even get it right now. So Javid will just stare and shadow box, and his distance is so great. a lot of times, like, he's like right in your face and you come in and he inches away. He doesn't inch away and punch. He just inches and moves and moves and moves. And you move and it's like shadow, 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 shadow. He's just there. If you fight him, he will fight you. His offensive wrestling, I don't think is very good. I think his defensive wrestling is pretty good and his jiu-jitsu is pretty good. And I think if he gets taken down, he pops up well, does all the right stuff. His offensive wrestling, though, I don't think is great. And we even saw Gravely take him down. I mean, we saw Gravely take him down a few times.
Gravely's a really good wrestler. He's an amazing wrestler.
Yeah, but so is Ricky Simone in MMA. You know, like in MMA, Ricky Simone, man, he's lifting and running and going. But Javid took Gravely down a little bit as well and whatever. But the thing is that Javid will, I mean, everything is a decision because he's not hurting people because there's so little activity. Look at his last fight against Ayman Zahabi. He just didn't take that fight into his own ownership. And like you can push him back, you can get him against the cage, you can shoot, you can do all that stuff. And all of a sudden you have Ricky Simone who, if he wants to, which we'll get to in a second, can run you and push you and do stuff to you on the cage. The issue is the last couple fights, man. Ricky Simone is just staring. And now
he doesn't wrestle like he used to.
Yes, he doesn't wrestle.
He used to be dependable, a little workhorse. You knew was going to shoot 15 times if he had to.
He was a little Rob. And now something has changed. So the issue, though, and why Ayman Zahabi, I think, beat Javid is because Ayman threw. And he threw, and it was just volume. And it was a close fight. You could have given it to, coin flip it, whatever. But Javid generally does better against strikers wrestlers who are trying to take him down, and then he kind of defends, lands a punch, defends. I kind of see that being the case here. I think it's going to be a very boring, close split decision. Or not even split decision, but decision. I think Javid will win it, but it would not surprise me for this fight to just be close and Ricky get it by nothing more than pushing forward and pressing and just a little bit of action because Javid is so low volume. I think it's close. I think it's a decision. I think it's Javid. Like, man, the line is insane.
I totally agree with you. And actually, this is what I see in my mind. To me, Ricky Simone, when he actually grapples, he's one of the, to me, and you guys are going to grill me for this, but I think he's one of the best grapplers in the UFC, bar none, because he can wrestle really well, but he's very good at mixing that with his jiu-jitsu, and his jiu-jitsu is excellent. I'm looking at their body styles, and Javid, it's hard because, they were talking about his last fight. He just kept throwing power punches nonstop. But I'm thinking to myself, I don't think this guy is capable of having power.
No.
Just the way his body is, he's so tall and long. He just doesn't have the frame to really have power.
He's a deer.
Ricky Simone has power. And so a lot of what I'm going to see happening is Javid, kind of pepper with these little probing shots, but he's going to have to enter the pocket at some point, and Ricky will be there to meet him head on. And I think those are going to be bigger punches. I think Javid's a better striker, but they're going to be big, heavy punches, eye-catching punches. Don't forget, he's from Seattle too. He's from the area. But I'm looking at Javid's frame. He's a very tall, skinny guy. And the way that Ricky Simone does is he always gets directly to guys' hips, and he wraps around, lifts the butt, and takes him down.
Yep.
There is no defending that. Javid is really good at defending when guys are shooting in on his legs and around the cage and doing this kind of stuff. He's excellent. He knows exactly what he's doing. But Ricky is just going to wrap his butt and place him down. And then he's so good, and he will re-wrestle. And then he'll punch, shoot back underneath, and re-wrestle. That's the old Ricky Simone. That's the Ricky Simone that I know. That's the Ricky Simone that I thought was going to beat Vinicius Oliveira. Didn't know who that guy was. It's crazy. I think we're going to see vintage Ricky on this one. I think I want to pick Ricky here.
I don't think it's a bad spot. The issue with vintage anything is I don't think vintage ever occurs anymore. Whenever you see people start to slide, we always think, oh man, if this was Ricky from 2 fights ago, but they never, it's so rare to see anybody come back from the slide.
It's just weird because I don't think it's not him falling off. I think it's just he changed his game plan, fell in love with his hands, fell in love with striking. And then I also think it's a lot of the opponents too.
So maybe, but I think a lot of it too is just at some point you reach an age in the wars and the battles, and you just don't have that piss and vinegar and testosterone in you to just, because that's what Ricky Simone is winning fights with. It's not technique. It's pure aggression and cardio. And once you, pure aggression and cardio are great when you try to push that and you're like, hey, let's go drag this into deep water and see who drowns. But if you're not willing to drown, you can't drown somebody else.
Yeah, if he's going to play it safe. I understand what you mean. Yeah, if we see that version of Ricky, everything you have just starts slamming it on Javid. But I think we're going to see something different. I think we're going to see a lot of car crashes in this fight, a lot of lifts, a lot of takedowns. Man, I could see a split decision too, just like the Javid volume on the feet versus Ricky's takedowns. I think it's going to be a very, very close fight. I think it's going to decision for sure. But then again, what if Javid takes down Ricky? I don't know. I don't think so. Okay, let's go on. I got Ricky. You got Javid. Let's go to the next one.
All right, next we have Nursulton Ruziboev minus 300 versus Eric McConico plus 250.
Did you look at this one?
I did.
Okay. This one is really interesting to me. I think Eric is going to be a really good underdog that's going to lose. To me, the biggest thing here is the stances. And I talked about this with Kevin Jusey the other day. Yes, he does this a lot, but what is Nursulton's biggest weapon? It's his straight right hand. And when you're opposite stance, the biggest thing is a straight right hand. And I don't think Nursulton is very good, but he's got a crazy frame for the division.
Hold on. I think Nursulton coming into the UFC was not very good, and I think we were there. And then I think he's actually better than we gave him credit for.
He leveled up a lot. One thing I actually really liked, and Big Bird and Pierce, he was texting me about this, and he's like, he's kind of narrowing on a play on Eric. He's like, yeah, Nursulton's takedown defense is bad. It is bad. However, that's with super strong, dynamic, aggressive Joaquin Buckley, who's also very good on the feet.
Who's taking down everybody, and his wrestling is very good at this point.
And not even that, is once he landed on his back, boom, 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 50 elbows. I'm going to stand up, and then you're going to
Nursulton got back up numerous times by
one
being
time
active.
He let him, though.
And he's not just going to sit there and lie there.
My biggest issue with him in this fight is
I don't know that Eric has the wrestling to do that. To even get him down.
I do not think so either. Yeah, he actually did hit one nice trip in 2 fights ago where he did a little step by and throw him. But I don't think he's taking a guy down who's 6'3", who's training with the Fili guys. My biggest concern in this fight is actually his volume on the feet. Because a lot of times he will stand and he will stare, but also I think that range is going to cause a lot of issues for Eric too, getting on the inside. He's pretty low volume until he finally gets you to cover. Then he starts adding it on. But I think that Nursulton's going to snipe him from a distance the whole fight.
I agree. I think Eric is vintage lab, and he does very well.
I don't think there's any such thing as vintage.
Vintage lab there is, which is push you to the cage and bully you. I think that's where he does best. But I don't, like you said, I think he's going to get hit on his way in. And I think he's very tough, and I think he has very good cardio. And at that weight class, being tough and good cardio is a lot.
He also gets hurt a lot.
Yes.
He even got hurt in a local fight here against a guy who hasn't won a fight in 15 years. He got hurt a lot. And this was the other thing that I actually really don't like is he committed 2 fouls that almost got him DQ'd. And that's an issue just with fight IQ in general.
Yeah, you lose a point in the UFC. I mean, it's a death sentence. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I think Nursulton has gotten better. He's tall. He's rangy. His straight punches are very good. And I think Eric is very tough. I just don't think he has the technical abilities to match Nursulton.
All right. You sound like you need to kiss Nursulton. What's up with you?
I'm snuggly.
Have a little smooch.
Next, we have Ian Cutelaba plus 150 versus Ibo Aslan minus 175.
Who the hell's paying all these guys that keep getting Ibo all these wins?
Right? Like, anyway, Ibo, though, he is not bad.
His striking's good.
It's good. But even so, his striking is decent. And then the second you touch him, it's all left hook, right hook. And he's very hittable in the pocket. So it's like, not even in the pocket, just trading. Just let's go. Just, the second it happens where he's just swinging and his chin is up and he gets hit. And he's very powerful, but he's very hittable. And he has shitty cardio.
That's so crazy because that sounds like another fighter that I'm thinking exactly of. And it's weird because he will be standing across from him this weekend.
No, you lie. Ian has gotten a lot better.
He has, but that used to be him.
It was. It absolutely was him. The difference, though, is that Cutelaba has the wrestling. He has more. The other thing that Cutelaba does as well is he'll throw an elbow and a knee off the break, and he'll mix it up.
Let's just make this really simple. If this fight was in a vacuum, we crowd the PI, we stack it full of everybody, no money on the line. They're just fighting. This is not a close fight.
No.
It's not even a close fight. Now you start getting some money involved. You got a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little something. You know, got the Vegas connect with Ibo and all this stuff. Now it makes it more interesting.
I'm going Cutelaba, man. I think at plus 150.
Is he plus 150?
Yeah. You've got a guy who's basically they're very similar, but Cutelaba has better cardio and he has better wrestling and he has a better skill set of like mixing it up.
This, unfortunately, is going to be our Vince Morales of this week.
Yes.
It's so frustrating because, again, I didn't watch the fight. I heard it was a close fight.
Yeah.
In a vacuum, Cutelaba is a million times better.
Yep.
He does have to worry for the striking, but his striking is pretty good.
But even though he does have to worry about the striking, but the thing that Cutelaba does and Ibo doesn't do is he moves his head. He'll swing and then loop and then roll and try to not get hit a little bit. Whereas Ibo, just like Camuelo over here, is like, hey, punch me, I'll punch you, and we'll just see who dies.
It's more fun that way, though.
This is fighting, man. This is why we do it.
I have never said this before, but I think that Cutelaba's grappling is the best in the UFC. Some of the best in the UFC.
I don't know about that, but his ground and pound is some of the best in the UFC.
No, but legitimately, his takedowns are really unique because he's Moldovan, right? So it's like a lot of the wrestling base. But he, just like Spivak, he does a lot of judo trips.
Yeah.
That's really interesting because he'll get guys going one way and completely switch it, and he's nasty.
I like Cutelaba here.
I think you're looking a little Cutelaba. All right, next one. I got him too.
Next, we have Andre Touchy Fili, best nickname in the UFC, minus 115 versus Melquizael Costa, minus 105.
Give me your thoughts on this.
Yeah, this is a close one. I like Fili here. I like Fili, I think, by a decent margin. And here's why. I see Melky each fight. He looks really good. He's a good grappler. He's got really solid jiu-jitsu. He stays fairly calm, but he tends to slow down a lot as the fight goes, as he kind of gets into the fight. And I don't think that anyone he's fought so far is on Fili's level, at least in the striking. Everyone else's grapples him, and then they get tired grappling, and then he counters and comes up on top. But he fought Austin Lingo. And even Lingo was starting to have moments later in the fight. Yeah. The tides were starting to turn. And then he fought Shaolin Nurden Becky, who
won every second of the fight until he lost it.
Yes. I like Fili here. I think Fili's going to hurt him. I think Fili can wrestle. He's had such great training for so long. UFC experience. I think this is a Fili shine spot here.
Yeah, Fili's going to beat his ass. I think Fili's going to fuck him up. So
fuck Brazil, man.
Yeah, Melky, it was a good run. No, I think he's fighting Nurden Becky tooth and nail and Austin Lingo tooth and nail. And now you're going to fight Andre Fili, who is so weird because he's not a great wrestler, but his timing on his shots are so good.
He's got a nice blast double. He really legitimately has a great blast double.
So well, and he gets people off, and his grappling is pretty good. The other thing he does is he'll switch stance and he throws a head kick, and he's got a good left hook. I mean, he's awkward and gangly, kind of weird. Like, I don't mean weird, but just like he doesn't look necessarily the part.
Yeah, his punches aren't perfect.
Yeah,
but they're effective.
Like he kind of swings off like this kind of weird angles and stuff. It doesn't look pretty always, but he hits hard. He's tough. He's done it. He just beat Cub, and Cub dying. He's looking good.
And Cub's last performance was one for the ages.
So man, give me Fili all freaking day.
Okay, I'm in. I like it. I love that pick.
All right, next we have Alonzo Menifield, minus 208 versus Julius Walker, plus 178. First fight of the main card.
I like Alonzo 3 years ago because he had that piss and vinegar and fight. I do like him in this spot because I just think that Julius, first of all, he's got he looks nervous standing. He's just here and he moves. He's younger, okay, but he's a jiu-jitsu guy. He's not a wrestler. And I think we talked about this last week with who just fought Junior, beat him, Smith.
Oh, Elijah Smith.
Elijah Smith. He's good, but he's too early. And I think Alonzo Menifield.
Did you watch that fight? Did it end up playing out close?
I only saw the last round.
I saw Vince had a Darce choke on him. It looked pretty tight.
Yeah, I saw that. It was the last round. When I didn't even see the whole last round. I saw the last 3 minutes, and Vince was all bloody and busted and whatever.
Okay. All right, fair.
But I think Alonzo is older. I think Alonzo is probably on the twilight of his career. But I do think he's decent enough, and he's fighting really good people still who are there swinging and going and doing. The issue with Julius is he will end up on the bottom, and he's a jiu-jitsu guy, and he's not physically imposing, and even his striking is decent, but it's not scary.
Being a black guy known for your jiu-jitsu is a crazy thing.
Like, hey, man.
That's insane. It's like me being known for my height.
For your dunking, exactly.
Come on, man.
So, yeah, I think I think Alonzo's going to look really good. I think it'll be – I think Julius Walker will look really good for a round, and then Alonzo is just going to just big brother him, hey, I've been here too much.
Alonzo's always liable to die, though. That's the thing. I have tried to fade Alonzo so many times over the years. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work.
Yep.
The Oldbergs of the world are just too sharp, too clean, too much better. He's got bad cardio, and I mean that he's fixed it, but we talked about this a lot. Alonzo used to go out there and nuke everybody within 30 seconds, and then he realized how tired he was getting, so he changed his whole style. I like his style, actually. It did work for him. It worked a lot better for him. Instead of going nuts, he learned to just, all right, I'm going to be here. I'll throw a big bomb. I'll reset, and I'll do it again. But he has bad cardio. I don't think his shin is the greatest. Skills-wise, he's fine. He's a little clunky on the feet. But, yeah, you're right. Just UFC experience. This is like the theme of this card is just all newcomers versus UFC experience.
It really is. It really is. It's the garb. It's old, new.
Changing of the guards. Yeah, the guards.
Yep. We've got Butterfly. We've got Spider. Aguardi.
Yeah, I'm going to go Alonzo on this one.
Okay.
Not that I love it, but it could be not a bad spot.
No, I think if Julius was like a little bit better striker, a little bit more athletic, a little bit of something, anything else, give me him. I'm there. I just don't think he is.
All right.
Next, we have Jean Silva minus 560 versus Melsik Baghdasaryan plus 410.
Do you want to go on this? I know you were talking about
Can I admit something to you?
Admit it.
I'm nervous. I was fretting about this. I talked with Ray Waters today for a while about this, and I've been very nervous. A few months ago, my sleep was so bad that I've tried to use marijuana to help me sleep. And
I don't know how you do that.
It's easy.
Has it ruined your sleep even worse?
No, it makes me so calm, so relaxed. And mostly I don't think about anything else. I just fall asleep. I drift off. So yesterday I was like, all right, I have nothing to do today other than study film. I actually like to smoke before I study because I'm like locked the fuck in. I don't get on my phone. I don't do anything else. I am like, boom. So I did that and I'm sitting there. I was about to cry. I could not believe my eyes watching these fights. I'm watching the Dober John Silva fight, and I'm sitting there in public like, is anyone else fucking seeing this right now? This is nuts. This is crazy, this fight. It was like the first fight I had ever seen in my life. And I was like, dude, I'm on a time crunch. I got to go. I ended up staying for another 45 minutes because then I watched Melsik's fight, and I'm like, that fight was not nearly as good. But I'm like, oh, my God, this is going to be wild. This is a great fight. This is really a good fight. I think John Silva's going to win. It's weird. In MMA, I weirdly think he is a better striker. But holy shit, are Melsik's hands so fast. He is so aggressive. He whips those kicks like nobody's business. He is a fucking good striker. My issue with him, with Melsik, one, so we actually, a few years ago, we went out to go train with the Armenians, those guys, because we know where he trains, right? And so just like we've always said, California MMA is very fragmented. You do jiu-jitsu one morning, then boxing, then wrestling, then sparring. That's it. And there's nothing that mixes it all together. Oh, actually, it's funny because I've told this story before. We went to Black House, and they were like, hey, do you want to spar on Friday? And I was like, I'll think about it. Is there some guys for me? And they're like, yeah, we have Melsik Baghdasaryan. And I'm like,
no, I'm good.
I'm good. No, I'm on vacation. It is what it is. Yeah, I don't want to spar. He's nasty. But even he admitted his last fight also was funny. Did you watch his post-fight presser?
No, I've never watched a post-fight.
I was high, and I'm like, oh, my God, the post-fight is better than the actual fight itself. Cormier let him talk for like 6 minutes, and he just went on an entire rant of like, I am not a good MMA fighter, but I have to learn. This is how I'm going to get better. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm going to be a better. It was crazy. And Cormier is sitting there laughing at him, and they're just letting him talk forever. It wasn't like hey, give me the mic back. You got to go. He talked forever. But he knows he's not a good MMA fighter. And that's the thing, because he got so tired on each and every takedown. Every time he's taken down, he's heavy breathing. He gets back up. He looks a little sluggish, and he's a very aggressive striker, but so is Silva. And Silva's going to be in your face the whole time. He's going to press you. He's going to taunt you. He'll mix the takedowns. His hands, I don't know whose hands are faster, honestly. They're both so fast and so clean. I think Silva's just more confident, and I think he's more complete. Very close fight. If Melsik knocked him out, I'm not surprised, but I think John Silva is just like, he's the guy.
Yeah, watching the Dober fight and the Gene Silva fight I was trying to compare that.
He also looked half Dober's size.
Well, it was at lightweight.
I know it was, but
Yeah,
I'm saying like for him to perform that well, being so much smaller was crazy.
Yeah, the thing with Dober is he's got those little T-Rex arms, and he punches a lot versus kicking. And I mean, Melsik will punch as well, but he's a much longer 1 and 2 type of guy where Dober's lunging in with his face. And it was actually really, Silva made a lot of really good reads in his timing the elbows, he's timing the knees, he's
check
with
hooks
the elbows
constantly.
Well, that's one thing that he does really well is that is Silva actually fights off his back foot a good amount, and he'll feint and go and he moves away. And just by design, if all things equal, the person moving backwards is going to win a striking battle if you don't know how to strike moving forward. That's what we see so often where somebody is pressing another fighter and they're moving away. You know, the other fighter's moving away, and they don't know how to engage.
But, you know, I'm actually really curious. This is my fight of the night. This is the best fight on the card. I'm actually really curious how the dynamic is going to work because Tucker Lutz is not a good striker at all. But I will say he nutted up in that fight and he stood in the pocket the entire time and he was backing Melsik up the whole time. Yeah. And so I'm wondering the dynamic of this fight. John Silva is going back to his weight class. Who's going to be backing up who? They're both good back foot fighters. And they're both very good going forward too. So I'm wondering whose dick is going on the table and who's going to walk forward more than the other one.
Well, I think Melsik will. And I don't think it's because it's a swinging contest. I think that's Silva's style is move away. He's going to be in his face and he draws it out. He likes it. We saw it with Dober again and again. He would throw the jab and then as Dober would come in, he would hit him with that check hook off of it. Or he would time the 1-2. He'd throw the 1 and as soon as Dober would throw his jab, he knew the hook was coming, or I'm sorry, the cross was coming, and he would throw that hook over the top.
We saw how well he did too with Dober, and Dober is southpaw, so is Melsik.
Yeah. Again, I think it's different because Dober's in lunging, swinging big hooks, where Melsik is not so heavy on his lead foot, straighter punches, and left kick. And the one thing that I think is going to land a lot for Melsik is actually that middle kick, because Dober doesn't throw a lot of middle kicks. And Gene Silva's hands are so high, which is good, but that opens up the body.
And his body, he hurt Tucker like 5 or 6 times with that body shot.
I think it's going to be a lot of very good, clean exchanges that are very even. The difference, though, is Gene Silva has such good reads. It's going to be even, it's going to be even, it's going to be even, and then he's going to find an elbow, and then he's going to find a little trip. He's going to find a check hook. He really is a good fighter. And so I think Silva wins. I don't even know how. I think stylistically, I think Melsik is going to do a lot better than a lot of other guys will because he is longer and clean.
Do you think he's going to grapple Silva?
Who, Melsik?
No,
or
Silva will grapple.
I think Silva will find trips and throws and dumps that he does well, catch kicks and dump them.
Now I was coming back to me. When I was watching this, mind you, I'm sitting at a coffee shop. I am just in a state of like, what the fuck's happening? And the first exchange when Dober got too close and he just took him and threw him across the cage, unbelievable. His strength at that size.
Wouldn't surprise me to see him grapple, but I don't think he has to like traditionally grapple. I think he's going to find the trips and the clinch and the
just making him keep standing up over and over again. Yep. Smart idea.
I like Silva. I don't know how it's going to happen, but he's just tricky and he reads stuff well and he figures out a way to win.
The thing I really love about that team is they present themselves like they're just complete apes and we're just going to walk forward and bark at you and do all this stupid shit.
But they're the fighting nerds, right?
They're so smart.
Yeah, but I mean, they're like they can't be apes if they're nerds.
Yeah,
they
but
present themselves
like
nerds.
A dog. And
if anything, I think they present themselves as a lot smarter than they actually are.
The truth is somewhere in the middle. The truth is somewhere in the middle. I think they're at max capacity for a Brazilian. So that's like, you know, is whatever. Okay.
All right. In the featured bout of the evening,
we're going to get canceled on this episode somehow, some way.
Not we.
You haven't said anything.
Not we.
Well, you're affiliated with me. So, all right.
No.
All right, in the feature bout, we have Rob Font plus 155 versus Jean Matsumoto, filling in for Dominic Cruz at minus 180.
Well, there you go. Now you got a little Brazilian Jap, so the IQ is way up here, Jean Matsumoto.
Can you still say Jap?
I usually just call him Jays.
I like Rob Font here. Like, what were the odds on this?
Font is 155 plus 155, and Matsumoto's minus 180.
So, like, I like a lot of the dogs on this card because Matsumoto. So, how's Matsumoto going to win? Like, what? I mean, how does he win every fight?
So, I know how he's going to win.
Low kicks. Like that's his thing.
No. Watch the fight with Katona. That's actually what I was expecting, was just all low kicks. And I know what you're going to go with this, but he boxes like a boxer sometimes. He is always willing to keep his head in there, and he'll move his head, and he throws counters off that, and they're very clean. My biggest worry is that Font, that chin is not great. It is a big liability. And Matsumoto is going to be the first guy he's fought in a long time. Like Kyler is all over the place. He's an amazing striker, but he is so wide and everything's spinning. And that's going to get broken down by pressure eventually. Matsumoto, he's not afraid to stand right there in the pocket. And maybe he is young enough where he does get worn down by pressure. But you watch that fight, he's hurting Katona in here, ripping shots over the top.
He is, but he's hurting somebody as tall, if not shorter than him, who's willing to stand in the pocket in the same manner. Now you're dealing with Rob Font's jab. And
it's a crazy jab.
Katona doesn't jab. He was standing there in the pocket and going. And honestly, I think the way that Matsumoto wins this fight is with his inside and outside leg kicks if he can establish them. If he cannot establish the leg kicks, give me Font all day. If he can establish the leg kicks, I think Matsumoto can pull out a decision. I don't think he's going to finish Font. I think Font's jab and his boxing are really good. And it's going to... Now all of a sudden you've got to decide, am I going to step in and throw this kick and risk eating that jab or not? And Font will, it's weird because he does get hit with the kick a lot, but then he'll also kind of sidestep it and step back with it. So he's aware of it. What I actually like better than Matsumoto's outside low kick is his inside low kick. He times that really well and gets people off balance. They fall on themselves. But then now you have to assume that Font is going to be pressuring to fall over himself, which I think he will pressure, but in a very
he's a smart guy,
manner. Yes. And so I'm just wondering, so now is it Matsumoto's wrestling, which isn't amazing. His defensive wrestling is really good. His offensive wrestling is okay. And so
that being said, Font's takedown defense is not great.
No, Font's takedown defense is not very good, but we also don't see Matsumoto offensively wrestle a lot unless he's hurt, which we saw with Katana. When he got hurt is when he started wrestling. I think, gosh, honestly, it's kind of even dumb to say.
This is an amazing fight,
No,
too.
I love it. And initially I was like, oh, Matsumoto, because Casey Tanner fought Matsumoto. So I'm like, hey, let's ride on the freaking Matsumoto Casey Tanner train. And then the other thing is I look at how many dogs win. And last week we had a good amount of dogs win. But just statistically, I started thinking like, man, because I think there's another dog on this card that is looking really good as well. I think a lot of the dogs are.
Wait, are we on the co-main event?
No, not yet.
Okay.
So I want to say Font wins this. I wouldn't be surprised to see Matsumoto just out volume Font and out durability him, because Matsumoto is durable. But I don't hate Font here. I'm leaning Font on this.
I could totally see that. This is the thing I love about Font. First of all, his hands are like this. Every time he hits you with a jab, like he sends guys' brains to the back of their head. Like he really hits them hard. It's like little minivans. But the thing that I love about Font's jab is he kind of punches that jab like Jaron Ennis does when he goes southpaw. He doesn't turn the punch over. He just boom, 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 splits the guard with it straight up the middle. And it's really, really clean. And it's just shortened to the target. And he's got such big punch. I think they're going to look a weight class apart in this fight.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think we already saw this with Adrian Yanez.
Yeah. This is a great fight. Fuck. You make great points. No,
the young, aggressive nature of Matsumoto can absolutely just run through the veteran durability, not even durability, veteran prowess of Font.
I'm going to stick on Matsumoto, but I love Font. I always ride for Font.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet this fight, personally, because I think it's a coin toss.
This and the Melsik fight, just watch them.
Yeah. Melsik, he's a bigger dog than I think he should be considering, but yeah, I'll stick with Font. Like I said, I wouldn't bet the house on it, but
all right, fair enough. I'm gonna go Masi.
All right, in the co-main event, we have Brendan All-In Allen plus 240 versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez minus 280.
Do you want to go on this?
This is gonna be easy for me. I think Fluffy is incredible. I think he is what modern MMA is exactly. He never gets tired. Simple combinations, great chin. He is always calm. His grappling is, I've never really said this before, but I think he's got some of the best grappling in the UFC.
You said that. No, I don't think you ever have.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I know what I've said.
Okay.
He's just amazing, man. Like his transitions are great. He's just like having fun in there. It's just easy for him. And I do like Brendan Allen, I used to like him a lot more. He does too much, and he'll jump for a heel hook, and he'll make simple mistakes. And I think he really wears down later in fights. And he's going to have a great first round, and maybe he beats the hell out of him on the feet. But I think round 2 is when things are going to get tough. And round 3, really, really, really tough. I mean, Anthony Hernandez is just a better Jacob Malkoun, way better Jacob Malkoun. And a lot of people made an argument for that fight that Malkoun won that clear out. I think Anthony's way better than Malkoun. I think this is his time. I like Hernandez here.
I think Brendan Allen is going to beat that ass.
You know they fought already.
Like, I don't give a shit. Like, what happened?
Why is he going to beat that ass?
Know. Like,
I think Hernandez won.
Did he? Was that pre-UFC?
LFA.
Okay.
Actually, it was 2 fights ago. I'm just kidding.
No, Brendan Allen is, when his striking is good and he's clean, he knows what he's doing. You're right, he does too much sometimes.
His cardio is not a concern for you.
In a 5-round fight, it absolutely is. In a 3-round fight, I think he can win 2 rounds before he tires out and then just doesn't.
But also, who have we seen just grapple him proactively, nonstop, all the time?
Jacob Malkoun.
Yeah.
No. So here's the thing: is I like Allen because I think his wrestling has actually leveled up so much, and I think he knows that. Like we saw it with who was the Brazilian guy that he beat up and
Pereira.
No,
Wait, no,
Allen.
Oh, yeah, your favorite guy, Andre Muniz. Yeah,
Muniz.
You love him.
Yeah. So he knew how to fight Muniz, and he's not going to get
it's not that hard to fight Muniz.
No,
you just don't go to the
you're
ground.
going against these really good grapplers. Him, Paul Craig, these guys. Like he knows how to grapple. So then it's just, does he get that tired to where he's just that bad of a grappler? And the answer is no. I think round 1 and 2, I think he's going to be more than fine grappling with Hernandez. I think he does a good job of staying off the cage. I think his wrestling is good. I think he counter wrestles well. And I think he's not going to, here's the thing is I don't think he's going to be afraid of the grappling. And so many guys are so afraid of Hernandez's grappling that they are so defensive and they run away and they don't go offense.
Do you really feel that way?
Yeah, I 100%.
I feel the complete opposite. I feel like people are like discount for Hernandez's grappling. They're like, he's a purple belt. Fuck him. He sucks. But he ends up being way better than people expect. And Allen, dude, I hate black belts. Black belts are so fucking full of themselves. They always think they're the greatest thing in the world. Allen does too much with his grappling all the time and ends up on the bottom all the time.
I'm sticking with it, man. I like Allen here.
All right, we're gonna go head to head. We need to end this show. I got Hernandez. I'm pissed about this one.
And then the main event, Henry, Song.
Oh, we're done.
And we're out.
Anything you want to say? I mean, you said a little bit at the beginning. And is there anything you want to say about this one?
Man, no, just it's been fun. Watching Henry do stuff is just amazing. Like you see him. I was actually sitting there with Hunter Azure just recently, and we were just watching Henry the last 2 days ago, whatever it was. And it's wild because you see like he's a freak athlete, and it's hard to say that against a guy who's like 5'4", but like
he really is though.
But yeah, I mean, he's not going to dunk. He's not a freak athlete for the NBA. He's not a freak athlete for the NFL.
He's a freak athlete. He doesn't have a freak body.
Yep. For what he is, he can do stuff. First of all, like he doesn't get tired. He can just like run forever. And then he's super explosive and he's super strong and he's like technical and he'll learn well. So it's weird to see somebody that really checks all of those boxes because most people don't. And it's just what separates like an Olympic gold medalist from the next guy in line is that. And he's gotten back to his form, gotten back to a lot of wrestling, but even the wrestling mindset, even into striking, is just keep it simple. Like, this is how things work. We don't have to overcomplicate things. A jab is a jab. A jab is not a step 1, 2, smoke this, that. It's a jab is a jab. And he's doing all the right stuff. He's hungry. He's angry. And honestly, he looks really good.
So who's going to be bowing down this weekend? Is it going to be Henry to the CCP, or is it going to be the CCP to Triple C?
Well, I mean, Henry's there to make America great again.
Goddamn right. That's how we end the show.